Hey Defenders, welcome back. In this video, I want to show you guys how we can integrate the Hive with our MISP server. As you know, MISP is kind of like our, really kind of our malware database. It's compromised of IOCs, APT groups. There's a wealth of information within MISP and MISP feeds that we've collected. I've covered this install in a previous video, which I'll link in the top right of the corner right now. But now what that video was lacking was the integration between the Hive and MISP. So we're able to have the Hive query MISP and bring events into our Hive portal that we see here. And we're also able to remotely push cases out to MISP as well. So if we get an alert within the Hive and we want to push those observables to MISP, we can do that with just a click of a button as well. So stick around and we'll jump into it. And all right, first things first, I need to integrate the Hive with MISP. So if you look in the bottom right, you see I have Cortex enabled, but I don't have MISP enabled. And this is a good indication of if what you believe to have configured, whether it be Cortex or MISP, is actually working or not. So let's go ahead and integrate the Hive with MISP. All we need to do is open up the Hive's application.conf. And kind of similar and pretty similar to what we did with Cortex, how we have this Cortex block here, and we really just generate an API key for it and then pointed to the correct URL of the server that was running Cortex. And we'll take pretty much the same steps here. So by default, this MISP block should be here. So we're going to go ahead and comment all of these out. Again, uncomment these, with this string here that we set for the name can be whatever you want, so it doesn't have to be anything in particular. My URL will point to my MISP server. So if this is the server that's running MISP, I have it just posted externally within AWS just for this testing demo. And so that's there. And here we have our API key, which you generate within MISP. So you'll generate an API key and then you'll take that value and put it here. We also did this when we integrated Cortex and MISP. So if you're a little unfamiliar on how to do that, I'll link that video in the top right of the corner right now. And then we will uncomment this. I'm actually gonna leave, so I had some difficulties figuring this out. I kept on, and I'll show you, I'll walk you guys through it here in a sec. So I'll uncomment out these. I'll give you a little background on that story there. Okay, so we got that done. I will now just restart the Hive. And it's going to be broken, at least it should be. So once this comes back, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, looks like it's restarted. And when we get the app back, here we go. So you'll see the MISP integration is enabled. However, there's a red circle around it. And if we go to the about, we get the unknown version. So it took me a while to finally figure this out, but it's related to the SSL cert that is being passed. So the MISP by default, if you use their install script, which I highly recommend, it's the easiest way to install MISP. You just run 2 commands and you're out the door. But it generates a self-signed cert by default. And what is happening is the Hive is not trusting that certificate. So we have a few options. We can either set so the Hive uses the Play framework under the hood. So what we can do is we can tell the Play framework to, hey, I want you to accept any certificate regardless if it's trusted or not. So right now, the Hive is erring out on this connection because it's not trusting the self-signed cert that MISP is presenting us. So we can either tell it to accept the cert no matter what. We can add the self-signed cert that MISP created to the key store to the Java key store of the Hive, or we can actually get a signed cert by a reputable CA onto the MISP server. And I did do that as well. I like to use Let's Encrypt because it's free. You can use any CA, such as GoDaddy or whatever certificate authority you like to use. However, you will have to pay for them. Let's Encrypt is free and it's easy to do. So that's why if I select the cert here, you'll see the misp1.opensecure.co. So if I were to actually go to this, misp1.opensecure.co, we'll then see I get our login page for MISP, and you see I have a valid cert and it's issued to the correct domain name. So you have a few options with that. Again, you can either tell the Hive to accept any cert. You can add the self-signed cert that MISP creates to the key store within the Hive, and it's something you can follow here in this in these blocks here, adding the self-signed cert to the local key store so that the Hive will trust it. Or you can get a cert from a trusted CA, such as Let's Encrypt as well. So by default, that is a trusted CA that the Hive will trust. That is a CA that the Hive will trust. So if you configure that as well, you should see the green OK here. But for this example, I'm just going to say accept any cert. So if I open this guy back up, and you'll need this block here. So what we're saying is we're telling the play framework, so saying, hey, for your SSL setting, I want you to accept any certificate. So now once we remove that comment and then restart, and this is the easiest workaround to it. You're not having to get a cert signed by a CA and then distribute it out to you, or you're not having to add the self-signed cert to the key store of the Hive. So if we go ahead and refresh this, we should now get a OK status, and that looks green there, and good. So now we're set to OK, so that's good. So again, easiest workaround is to just set that accept all to true. And it took me way too long to find this freaking block. I knew it was possible, but I couldn't find the exact syntax, I guess, to use for this block. But I finally figured it out. But I finally saw that someone had a similar issue, and this was the result that fixed it, besides doing the certs. So shout out to this guy here. And so with that integration, now we are pretty much done. Now it's just a little bit of fine tuning. So now you see some of these alerts, some of these have already started to come in. So what's happening here is the Hive is querying MISP, and I have it set to every minute, I believe. So actually, let's just go ahead and walk through some blocks. So first is our interval. This can be either minutes or hours. So the Hive will reach out to MISP every minute and using these settings here to reach out to MISP. So that's how it's doing its authorization. And the Hive is searching for any new event that has just been published. So if we go into events here, you'll see they have a status of, there's a column here of published, right? So the Hive is going to grab any of the new events that have just been published. And as you can see, they're starting to come through here. And what's really nice too is that it's parsing out all of the observables as well. So you can see there's a little over 1,800 here. You also get a nice little link, which is really nice. So if we select that, it hyperlinks us to the MISP instance, and we can quickly see all of these details here as well. So now we're not having to keep, the MISP and the Hive both. We're not having to keep eyes on both. We really only need to keep eyes on the Hive. And when something comes in, when a new event is published to MISP, it's automatically brought in. So let's just look at this shell shock one. So we parse this guy out here. So again, we just link right to the published event within MISP. We can see our observables here. So there's some IPs, there's an external analysis link, but let's go ahead and convert that into a case. So if we preview this guy, and you can see it's also bringing in all of the observables contained within the event automatically for us, right? Which is really nice. It's bringing in all 31 observables. So if we look at observable as blog, let's look at this blogbuddy.ru. We see that there as well. So it's really nice. It's bringing in all the metadata around the event. So we can go ahead and import this into a case here, and if we go to observables, again, we see them all. So now we can run more analysis off of these observables. And a really good way to combine this with your current solution, right, is say I'm using ElastAlert to pump Wazoo alerts to the Hive. Right now, okay, let's say I see an SSH connection attempt from this particular IP address that came in with a Wazoo alert. So if I see a particular IP address, let's just say this guy trying a SSH brute force attempt within Wazoo has been generated from this particular IP address, that alert has been sent to the Hive and is stored within the Hive. And now I would just need to filter on this IP address, and it would load my Wazoo alert and the MISP event as well that has this known observable. So now I could quickly see, oh, this IP address has created an alert within my, within the network that I am responsible for keeping secure. And I also see it's been associated with this shell shock event, right? So that's a quick and easy way to say, okay, that I know that this guy is a bad actor. Or on the flip side, if we're pumping successful logins to the Hive, and then all of a sudden we see a successful login from this IP address, and this IP address has been known to take advantage of the shell shock exploit, then we can be pretty confident that their exploit ended up working and they're actually on the box, and we need to get moving to stop this guy before he progresses any further. The other thing though, so it hasn't started too bad yet, is we need to filter these or else you'll just get overtaken by alerts. So these will start to overtake your Wazoo alerts or antivirus alerts or WAF alerts that you're pumping into the Hive, and you'll just get hit with alert overload. So thankfully we have the ability to make filters out of these. So what we can do is filter on our tags that we want to whitelist. So if you go to the Hive docs, which I'll also put in the description here, and they have some examples. You have exclusion tags and whitelist tags, so you can pick and choose what tags you want to be brought into the alerts within the Hive here, and that corresponds to, so if I go back to home to look at an alert, and these tags pertain to everything that you see within the tag column here. So like if I want to filter on just the circle malware one, I could just select this tag, and now all that I'm seeing are events that have this malware tag within it. So I can do the same within the Hive config block as well. I would, instead of tags, so it's a little it may be kind of confusing. So the tags here, that tags there verbiage corresponds to what we see here. So here you see the type of MISP, so that corresponds exactly to what I have here. So if you want to filter off of tags, from MISP, you actually need to do the whitelist .tags. So if we do this string here, which, yeah, they have an example of it here. So we could do like this, and so our tag would be exactly what we have here. So it's the full string here. So do I have a good way of copying that? Okay, I'll just do TLP white so I don't have to type it all out. There. So I could do, so again, you can do multiple tags if you want. They're just comma separated there. And I will just say TLP white. So now we can filter on what events we import into the Hive, which is nice because again, you'll just get drowned out by them. There's a ton of them, so you do need to. So I strongly encourage to do the filtering. And there's more filters you can set as well. So there's like a max age. So this details the maximum age of the last published date of the event to be imported in. So if you only want events from like the last 7 days, like in this example here, that's what would be brought into the Hive. And then this last tag here included the Hive organizations. You can also add as well. So if you have multiple organizations within the Hive, so here I'm just on the demo organization as the demo user. But if I had another organization, maybe say like production or something, and I only wanted the production organization to be able to import alerts into the Hive, like what you see here, you would just do it that way. So instead of a star, which defaults to all, I could just type in prod here, and that would include that. So that way, now only users that are within the prod organization can see these alerts, which is nice. So we can do that, and then we can save and restart. Keep in mind whatever your interval setting is here. I think by default it's like an hour, I think is what it comes with. So if you're not seeing any alerts come in immediately, first make sure your connection to MISP is good. So make sure you have the status of OK, and then also check your interval time. It may be something longer than what you think it is. And because we have that two-way trust, we can also push cases that originated within the Hive over to MISP as well. So if we want to create a new case, and I'll say please subscribe. I'll give a definition of just tests. I'll create the case here. Let's add an observable. Let's add an IP of 1.1.1. I'll say test. So if we create an observable as well, so let's say for instance we got a Wazoo alert, it's brought into the Hive, and it came with a bunch of observables. We deemed it was malicious, so we want to push these out to MISP as well. So and that's easy to do. So we would create a case. We would select export, and here you see our MISP server, and we have a status of OK. So we can select export, and now we get a notification that it's been exported. And if we refresh our home page here, we'll now see that we have our please subscribe event. So let's go ahead and view this guy. And if we jump into this guy, we will now see our case has been exported to MISP. We're also bringing in the observables, like what we see here. So we're bringing in our observable that we have listed, that we have attached as part of this case as well, which is really cool. And then we can either share it only with our organization, or we could publish it to where, again, MISP is a very community-backed tool. So if you see something within your own organization and you push it out to MISP and then you want to alert other organizations about it, again, of course, make sure you strip any personal information such as host names or internal addresses. But if you want to say, hey, we saw this particular IP address attacking us, and I want other people who are also running MISP to know about it, you can publish the event, which is really easy. So now you can publish it, and now that job is queued up, and now everyone within the MISP community now sees that, which is really nice. And you'll see again that you'll have the checkbox here. It's a really nice way to integrate TheHive and MISP. It's pretty straightforward once you get over the stupid SSL issue that I was having. That was driving me crazy. But we figured it out. We learned something. So that's all that matters, right? But it's a pretty nice little feature. I, again, be cognizant of the alert overload that you can receive as soon as you stand up this integration. I strongly encourage using the filters to best suit your needs, like what you see here. And I'll link all this in the description as well. And it's also really nice to push the Hive cases to MISP, to push alerts that originate within the Hive, create a case out of it, and then push it to MISP with also storing those observables. Is a really nice feature as well. So you can always go, say now a year down the line, you all of a sudden see the same source IP or same hash values suddenly start to enter your network, and you query MISP and you see that, oh, this same guy was attacking me a year ago, and you can take your further steps as need be. What I think works best personally is just the Cortex and MISP integration. So I'll link that video in the top right here as well, but we've already covered that. But we're able to take observables within our alerts and query MISP to see if they exist anywhere. And I think that personally, in terms of automation and scalability, I think that works much better. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I think that is the recommended way. However, I do enjoy the integration that you can get, especially the pushing alerts from the Hive to MISP. I think it's really helpful. So hopefully you guys learned something. I think that wraps it up for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.